Hey guys, we are looking at waves today, so we're going to do that a couple ways. We're looking at the standard today. It's a fancy standard 4.PS 4.1. Use the model of a simple wave to explain regular patterns of amplitude, wavelength, and direction. What in the world does that mean? It just means be able to describe the parts of a wave, what parts of a wave are. So you're going to do it a couple ways today. You've got this guy right here and explaining it and drawing it out for you. And then I've also got a little slide right here we're going to look at together. Let me shrink myself a little bit. Get out of the way, Mr. Helton. There we go. So I want us to take a look at this simple wave right here. And we'll take a look at it. If you watched the video before this, you already know all these, but here's just a picture that you can look at and use for your assignment today. And so as we look at a wave, we need to notice some simple parts first. We see the wave travels this direction, and we see that it's got high parts and low parts, except we're scientists, so we can't call them high parts and low parts. We've got to give them some scientific names. So this high part, this top part of the wave, that's called the crest. So every time you see one, there's a crest, there's a crest, there's a crest. All of the top parts of the wave are called crests. And the bottom parts, these parts right here, they're called troughs. T-R-O-U-G-H. So the top part's a crest, the bottom part's a trough. Now, as we look at how high that crest is from this resting point, that height of that crest, the height of the wave, is called amplitude. And you can measure amplitude from this dotted line up to the crest, or you could also measure it from the dotted line down to the trough. Usually you see it measured up to the crest. So this is indication kind of the power of the wave, to be honest, the energy that's in the wave. The higher the crest is, the more amplitude the wave has. And so if we're talking about sound waves, if you have a higher crest, a bigger amplitude, then it's a louder volume. If it's light waves, the higher crest with a higher amplitude would mean it's a brighter light. Does that make sense? So it kind of indicates the power. If it was way low down here, it would be a low amplitude. It would have low volume or not a whole lot of brightness. Okay, does that make sense? And then if we look at these lines right here, it's kind of measuring from the top of a crest to the next crest. So measure from a crest to a crest. That is called the wavelength. That's how long the wave is. And we could also measure it from the bottom of a wave, the trough to the trough. You could also measure that as wavelength. The other thing that you need to know, which you saw in the video before, is frequency, and that's how many waves there are per unit of time. So if this was a second from here to here, there'd be 1, 2, 3 waves per second. Okay? So one thing I do want you to look at too is this wave is consistent. There's the distance between each one of the crests and troughs is staying the same. The amplitude is staying the same. Each crest is just as high as the one before it. It's not any higher or lower. So this wave is consistent. So we can look at that. The frequency is staying the same. The amplitude is staying the same. The wavelength is staying the same. As we look at a wave, we see it's consistent. All right. So I want you to use this and complete today's little quiz. It's 6 questions about these wave properties. Now, it's not much to do, but they're going to count a whole lot of points each. So make sure you read them carefully and make sure that you come back and use this if you need to remind you of the different wave parts. These questions are pulled from the same program you get your benchmark from. And so they're going to look something like this. And supposedly these are the same type of questions that you're going to see on your TCAP test, or Tennessee Ready test at the end of the year. So that's why we're going to practice some of these this week, okay? Make sure we really understand these and just a review as well. All right, I'll quit talking now and I'll let you get started on the assignment. Do a good job, okay? See you later.